Hi there, my lovelies. Some of you have requested for me to do a Q&A video, which I thought was a really fun idea. So I asked you guys to send in some questions and I got some really fun ones. I'm super excited to share a little bit about myself with you. Amanda Thompson asked me, where do you live? I live in Los Angeles, California. Victoria XOXO, super cute name, asked me, where did your passion for cooking come from? And did you pursue education in the culinary world? So yeah, I do have a culinary degree. I got it from the Art Institute in North Hollywood. So where did I get my passion from cooking from? Definitely my mom taught me a lot of things when I was little. She loved to cook. She still loves to cook. And she would teach me really fun things like how to make pasta from scratch. I remember when I was little, like turning out the little pasta maker and making all the pasta. It was really fun. I actually went to boarding school though, starting in 7th grade. So I kind of lost my cooking bug a little bit just because we didn't have a kitchen for me to cook in. And later in life, I was working in the fashion industry and the economy wasn't doing very well. So I was having trouble really advancing in my career. So I was like, you know what, let me just take a year off to like reevaluate what I want to do, where my life's going. And I decided to go to culinary school and kind of the rest is history. I ended up working behind the scenes as a prep cook for Hell's Kitchen and really learning a lot from that job. It was definitely an experience for sure. And then I ended up by that job knowing like I really want to be on the TV side of things. That's really interesting to me. I didn't really necessarily want to work in a kitchen, just constantly making dishes. So I ended up working as a culinary production assistant and working up to an associate producer. And that's kind of how I got into this. So I'd help others develop their own YouTube channels and they would be like, how come you don't have your own? That makes no sense. So I kind of got that idea. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I probably should have my own YouTube channel. And that's how I got into it. Lisa Donald asks, what's the most interesting job you've ever had? I would probably say working on Hell's Kitchen was definitely the most interesting job. I was fresh out of culinary school, so I really didn't know that much. And I definitely got my butt handed to me a lot on that job. But I learned a lot and it was definitely an experience I wouldn't trade for the world. Farhana Sheffy asked, when was it that you started your journey as a baker? So I actually went to culinary school for savory, but when I started my YouTube channel, somehow desserts tend to do better on YouTube. I think it's just because they're a little bit more difficult, so people need to look up videos on how to make them. So I just started doing more baked goods and kind of really fell in love with it and just kept going with it. Chris Noble asked, are you full-time baker, confectioner? Also, where do you get inspiration for your treats? I make desserts all the time because of my YouTube channel. I don't know if I would necessarily consider myself a full-time baker. My full-time job is a food stylist and recipe developer. For those of you that don't know what a food stylist is, if you see in a photograph or on film, like in a commercial or a movie, you see the food placed really nicely, that's what I do. I basically make sure that the food looks really nice on camera. And a recipe developer is someone who literally develops recipes. So certain companies like food brands will hire me to come up with recipes for their blogs or their websites. So yeah, constantly making food. And where do I get inspiration for my treats? Everywhere. I'm constantly on multiple different websites, on Pinterest. I'm out and about looking at new restaurants in LA. There's like a huge food world in LA. So I'm constantly just out and about checking out stuff and getting inspiration that way. Alejandra Reyes asked, are you married? Are you engaged? It would be a great idea to do a video with your boyfriend or husband. It would be. I am married. Since I started my show, I was dating my boyfriend, then he became my fiance, and just recently, I don't know if you guys can see my rings, just recently we got married on New Year's Eve. We eloped and it was really fun. We went to our minister's house and we're like, okay, we're ready, let's do this. And we got married. Our family was pretty bummed that they didn't get to come, so we're definitely planning on doing a wedding in the next year, but I haven't even started planning. Maybe that'll be a really fun series that I do, like the journey of the wedding planning. Oh man, I can't even wrap my brain around that right now. Oh, wedding planning is tough. And it would be really fun to do a video together. I totally think that would be something that we could do. If we do maybe that wedding series, then you'll see lots of him. Rachel Sweets asked, what's your favorite dessert to make? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't have a favorite dessert. I always like making new things. That's my favorite thing to do, is like come up with something that I haven't tried before. My husband loves bread pudding, so that is definitely something that we make a lot of in this house, bread pudding. Okay, next question. Dina Lopez asks, what's the best place you've ever traveled to? Wow, I think the best place I've ever traveled to would be Italy because the food there is obviously amazing and you just walk around everywhere so you don't feel like you're gaining a bunch of weight eating all the pasta, and everyone is just super, super nice there. One of the most interesting places I've ever traveled to would be Africa. That was so cool. I went on a safari. I got to meet some really interesting people. It was so beautiful there, and it was really eye-opening to see a completely different culture. So that was really fun. Lyle Abide asked, Lovebites, how many trials and errors do you go through just to make a video? What was your biggest recipe stuff up? Sometimes it can take me 2 or 3 times to make sure something's perfect. Sometimes it only takes me 1 try because I'm pretty certain I know exactly what I'm going to do and I kind of have the idea in my head, versus sometimes I'm like, I don't know where this could go and I need to work it out a little bit. So the most I would say is probably 3 times. What's the biggest recipe stuff up that I've had? Oh, I know. One time my baking soda had gone bad and I didn't realize, and none of my desserts were rising, and I'm like, what is going on? And actually it was my husband who figured it out. He's like, maybe your baking soda went bad. Even though the date on it was correct, it hadn't expired, it just, I don't know why. Baking soda is like that. So if that ever happens to you, check and see if maybe you need a new baking soda. That's a good tip right there. Raquel Berg asked, are you a vegan? Nope, I'm definitely not a vegan or a vegetarian, but I do have some dietary restrictions that I very rarely stick to. I'm not supposed to be eating gluten or dairy or eggs or rice or nightshade vegetables. There's like a million things, and it makes it really hard as a chef to stick to that. So I definitely have had incidents where my face is like blown up, but I'm okay. I try to be good about it sometimes. Maybe later on I'll do a series where I do baked goods or recipes that don't have any of those in them for people who have food allergies. So I got this question from a lot of people. What do you do with all of your sweets? Well, that's a good question because I definitely don't want them to go to waste. So sometimes I eat them, which is not always the best for diet. Or I live in an apartment complex, so I'll pass them out to all the people in my apartment complex who want them. Or my husband will bring them to his job and pass them out at work. They really love us there. Bernadine Baptist asked, hi Cassandra, hello. How many times did it take you to master the French macaron? That is a good question. I think it took me like 3 or 4 times before I kind of got the hang of how the batter was supposed to look. But French macarons are such a tricky cookie. There's still every once in a while where I'll make them and they'll be like hollow or they didn't rise and I'll be like, what the heck? So it's always a work in progress. I feel like with French macarons, they're just a tricky cookie. So if you have, every once in a while, have a problem with it, don't get yourself down about it. Just know they're a difficult cookie. Especially with me, I live in an apartment, so I don't have like a super nice oven, which can kind of be a bummer. Okay, I think I have time for one more question. Rachel Murnut asked a really good one. She asked, how come you always say, hi my lovelies and bye my lovelies at the end of your videos? My Lovelies is just a nice name that I have for all of my subscribers. It's a great way for you guys to know that I'm talking to you and that I appreciate you guys subscribing and watching my videos. All right, so that's it for the Q&A video. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. And thank you to the ones who even suggested that I do this Q&A video. That was such a great idea. It was really fun. And just know that I love you guys and thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week. I'll definitely be doing a dessert video next week. So for all of you guys that were like, well, this video was boring, sorry, but there'll be another video coming up for desserts next week. Bye, my lovelies.